Welcome back. On the foreign scene, Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison has come under fire for his handling of the bushfires in his country. Residents of Cobago in New South Wales heckled him over the government's response, causing him to cut short his visit to the town. Simon Pusey has more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. The Premier of the Australian state of New South Wales has declared a week-long state of emergency in response to the escalating bushfire threat. High temperatures and strong winds are forecast for the weekend, leading to widespread extreme fire in the eastern Australian state. Since September, bushfires have killed 18 people and destroyed more than 1,200 homes across New South Wales and Victoria. At least 17 people remain missing after fires this week alone. Thousands of people are already fleeing a vast tourist leave zone in New South Wales, with supplies running low in some cut-off towns. It's been called the largest relocation out of the region ever. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison has announced paid leave for volunteer firefighters during his tour to fire-affected areas across the country. Talking to media in South Australia, where ongoing fires have destroyed around 87 homes and 500 other buildings, he said that he has directed all Commonwealth agencies to provide at least 4 weeks paid leave for volunteer firefighters. And he maintained that fighting fires and evacuations were a priority for the government and not the issue of climate change.
What is incredibly important is that we continue to maintain the focus on these very important tasks. Those tasks are being well led and run by our state authorities, both in Victoria and in New South Wales, and I am in constant contact with premiers of both of those states.
Taiwan's top military official is among 8 people killed when a military helicopter made an emergency landing in mountainous terrain. General Shen Yiming and 12 others were on the Black Hawk helicopter when it was forced to land in poor weather near the capital Taipei. Earlier reports said some people had been found alive, with others trapped under fragments of the helicopter. The general was flying to an army base in the northeast of Taiwan. Several other top military officials were also on the helicopter. Taiwan's Air Force sent 2 more Black Hawk helicopters and about 80 soldiers to the scene near Tongho Creek in Wulai. At least 21 people have died in flooding in the Indonesian capital Jakarta after the city had its most intense rainfall for at least 24 years. The Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics Agency measured 14.8 inches of rainfall in a single day at an airport in East Jakarta. That's the most rain in a single day since at least 1996, when records supplied by the agency began. The agency said the intensity of the rain was due to several factors, including the monsoon season, as well as a high amount of water vapour in the air affecting cloud formations over Java Island. At least 9 people were killed on Wednesday when the Syrian army launched missiles that struck a shelter for displaced families in the country's northwest. Medics said 5 children were among those killed in the strike on a disused school in the town of Samin in Idlib province. Over 16 people were injured. The Syrian Observatory of Human Rights said the death toll was expected to rise. Austria's Conservatives have agreed to form an unprecedented coalition government with the Greens after months of negotiations. Sebastian Kurz's People's Party had been in coalition with the far-right Freedom Party until a scandal toppled the government in May. The People's Party came top in a snap September election, but have only now agreed a deal with the Greens. It is the first time the left-wing party will serve in government. The leaders suggested they would aim to lower taxes in general, a People's Party pledge, while bringing in higher environmental taxes in line with green policies. France's transport strike against pension reforms has entered its 29th day, making it the longest rail workers' strike since May 1968. Industrial action against President Emmanuel Macron's planned pension reform has hit train services hardest. The government says the changes are necessary to make the system fairer and more sustainable, but unions say workers will lose out. More talks are due to be held between unions and government on 7th of January. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has decided to seek parliamentary immunity from prosecution over corruption charges. The move would likely delay a trial until after fresh elections next March. In November, the Prime Minister was charged by the Attorney General with bribery, fraud and breach of trust in 3 separate cases. Mr Netanyahu, who denies wrongdoing, would need the support of more than half of MPs for immunity to be granted. And finally, Chinese archaeologists have unearthed about 200 more terracotta warriors and a large number of ancient weapons from the pit of the mausoleum of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. The Mausoleum Site Museum said that during the third excavation, an area of 400 square metres had been excavated. The burial area is thought to have been a subordinate to the tombs of the mausoleum. New discoveries also include 12 clay horses and traces of 2 chariots. The newly discovered ancient weapons contain storage boxes, coloured shields, bronze swords and bows. And that's your international news around the world in 5.
Thanks, Simon. Time for sports news now. Here's Charles Aruka.
Thanks, Amarachi, and welcome to Sports News. Teenage golf sensation Iane Essien wants to take the world of golf by storm, starting by winning the country's first gold medal at the 2022 Summer Youth Olympics. The 13-year-old developed a passion for the sport at the age of 5 while watching a boy play at the IBB Golf Club in Abuja and attended a first tournament not long after turning 6. Essien was the only teenage golfer to feature in the 2019 Nigeria Ladies Golf Open Championship, where she came 10th out of the 177 participants. In 8 years, she has represented Nigeria 11 times across Europe, Africa, and the United States, winning a total of 17 medals. In football, Liverpool's lead on top of the English Premier League is back to 13 points after beating Sheffield United 2-0 at Anfield. Mo Salah gave Liverpool the lead on 4 minutes after Sam Baldock lost his footing as the ball came over the top, allowing Andy Robertson a clear run down the left, and the fullback found Salah, who slotted home with his 14th goal of the season. Senegal forward Sadio Mane made it 2-0 in the 64th minute after finishing off a super counter-attack at the second attempt after his initial shot was saved by Dean Henderson. Meanwhile, Arsenal defender Callum Chambers will be out for between 6 and 9 months after rupturing the anterior cruciate ligament of his left knee against Chelsea on Sunday. The centre-back, who has made 18 appearances in all competitions this season, suffered the injury in the first half at Emirates Stadium and has undergone a successful operation. Chambers' absence leaves new boss Mikel Arteta short of options in the defence, and he will meet with technical director Edu and head of football Raul Sanllehi this week to mull over plans for the month. And over in Italy, AC Milan have officially confirmed that Zlatan Ibrahimovic will wear the number 21 shirt upon his return to the club. Ibrahimovic has completed his medical examinations and will sign his contract ahead of his official unveiling tomorrow. The 38-year-old, who arrived in Italy earlier today, was greeted by officials from his new club at the airport tarmac before being treated to a rousing chant by fans waiting outside for him. Now to tennis, Nick Kyrgios says he will help victims of the bushfires raging in his country, Australia, by donating $200 each time he serves an ace during the home summer season. More than 1,000 homes have been destroyed by the fires, which have been fueled by searing temperatures and high winds. Kyrgios' ATP Cup teammate Alex de Minaur also followed suit by pledging $250 for every ace he serves during the Australian swing of the ATP season. Fellow Australians John Millman, John Pearce, Sam Stosur and Ellen Perez have also joined the cause.
It's pretty tragic what's going on, especially with my hometown Canberra being under a bed of smoke, the most hazardous smoke in the world at the moment. So it's obviously sad for everything that's going on, but I'm sure that all these guys would be happy to help. I saw John and both Johns, retweeted. So the more exposure it gets, I think we have the potential to do something pretty special there.
Tennis stars with big hearts there. It's Game, Set and Match on Sports News, and back to Amarachi with the wrap.
Charles, and the main news again. The police in Abuja today finally nabbed the suspects believed to be the mastermind of the failed bank robbery in the Pape suburb of the nation's capital. However, it turned out from the confessional statements that the suspect, Ernest Ewim, was actually recruited by staff of the bank. Also today, the Kwara State government demolished a property belonging to family of former Senate President Bukola Saraki in Ilorin with an explanation that the early morning exercise was a way to avoid unnecessary confrontation. And the Federal High Court today granted the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission another 14 days to detain former Justice Minister Mohamed Adoke pending his arraignment. That's News at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. Good night.